misconceptions, and these misconceptions are persisting. These misconceptions about jihad, not to speak of non-Muslims, they are there in the minds of the Muslims themselves. But rather the Muslims are to be blamed, because the non-Muslims got these misconceptions from the Muslims. So we should understand what are those great misconceptions about jihad. Number one, that jihad means war. This is the basic mistake. Jihad can be war, but there is a definite separate term for war, to going to war for the cause of Allah, and that is qital fi sabilillah. Then we have two different terms, definite terms. And I told you before that in no language there can be two words having exactly the same connotations. The words are coined for different and definite meanings. If the words are two, meanings are different. Maybe they are very close, but they are essentially different. So jihad fi sabilillah is a term of the Quran. Qital fi sabilillah is another term of the Quran. Here again the same, relationship of am and khas. Jihad is am, it is general. Qital is khas, it is particular. Qital is jihad necessarily, but every jihad is not qital. The Prophet ﷺ and his companions, alayhi salatu wasalam, wa radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, they were making jihad at Makkah. We find this term in the Makki surahs. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. This is the last ayah of Surah Al-Ankabut, which was revealed in the 5th or 6th year after the beginning of Wahi, about 8 years before Hijrah. In the same surah, in the beginning, in the first part, first section, we find وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهِدُ لِنَفْسِهِ. So jihad is there, and jihad was going on there for 12 long years at Makkah, but no qital. Qital started after Hijrah. So there are two different and definite terms, and we must keep in mind that jihad is not equal to war. And what is the very unfortunate result? That because war is not everywhere and any time, all the time, war is not going. So we have understood jihad. When we say it is qital, it means it is not farz ayn. We are not required to make jihad all the time, because when it means war, then only when there is a war, then you are called to make jihad for the cause of Allah. So this concept has disappeared from our basic concepts of deen. While the ayat which I have quoted, they tell us that it is the integral part of Iman. There can be no Iman without jihad. There can be no salvation without jihad. And maybe in the life, during the whole lifetime of a person, there is no occasion of going to war. What does it mean? He doesn't make any jihad. And Allah is saying in these ayat that it is essential to be saved from the fire of hell. It is included in the essential definition of Iman. That is why, this concept of jihad has disappeared from our minds, because we equated it with war. So actually, one mistake, it is based on another mistake. The basic mistake was that jihad is war. The result is that war is not going all the time. So it is not farz ayn, it becomes farz kifaya. Whenever there is need, when the requisite number of people volunteer themselves, well, that farz kifaya is fully accomplished and completed. The others are not to blame. So that is the result of the basic mistake. Now what is the second, and let me say the greater misconception? Whenever a Muslim goes to war, it is jihad fi sabilillah. this concept has brought bad name to Islam. Despotic rulers going to war for the sake of their own personal ends, only to increase their own territory, only to have more luxuries, only to have more revenues, going to war. And it becomes jihad fi sabilillah. Actually, this has brought bad name to Islam and Iman. And I told you that if the non-Muslims have misconceptions about jihad, we can't blame them. Actually, we are to blame. We have, perverted the meanings of this very sacred term of Islam. Let me quote here a very famous hadith. The Prophet ﷺ was once asked, رَجُلٌ يُقَاتِلُ حَمِيَّةً وَرَجُلٌ يُقَاتِلُ شُجَاعَةً. There is a person who is going to war for some tribal or ethnic or nationalistic feelings. There is another person who goes to war to show off his bravery and his strength and his courage. There is another person who goes to war to get booty, to get wealth, to get, share of the mal-e-ghanima. Who amongst these three is mujahid fi sabilillah? The reply was, none of them is mujahid fi sabilillah. Mujahid fi sabilillah is the only person alladhi yuqatilu litakuna kalimatullahi hiya al-ulya. Whosoever is going to war for the exclusive cause, with the exclusive intention, with the khalis niyyah, that the word of Allah should become supreme, only he is a mujahid fi sabilillah. If you are fighting, going to war for some worldly ends, for your own personal, ambitions, then this is not jihad fi sabilillah. So, these two misconceptions, please remove them from your minds. And please try to remove these misconceptions from the minds of all the Muslims. Now we come to the positive side of our discussion. Then what is jihad? Here, as in the case of Iman, let us first understand the literal meanings of jihad. As I told you, 99.9 recurrent percent words in Arabic language are derived from a three-lettered root. And from there the words, they are derived, coined on different patterns. Iman was from Aman, Islam from Salam. In the same way, jihad is from Juhud. And this word is used in Urdu language also. Every Urdu-speaking, Persian-speaking person knows Juhud. Rather, we use the word Jiddo Juhud. Jid is again to strive for something, and Juhud to strive for something. You are making effort in some direction. You are striving for something, it is Juhud. But what is the difference between Juhud and Jihad? Jihad and Mujahada, they are from Babul Mufa'ala. There are patterns in Arabic language, as I told you. It's a very mathematical language. The three letters